Welcome to another Fantasy Goodfellows video where we talk about the top 30 running back rankings for week 5. Richard, you ready?
Let's do it.
The Fantasy Goodfellows.
Boom, boom, boom.
Rolling on the field.
The Fantasy Goodfellows.
All right, before we get started on this week's rankings, Richard, tell me how you did last week.
Okay, considering that Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, and James Robinson, 3 guys that should have made the top 30, didn't make the top 30, we still hit on taking out Alvin Kamara, who didn't play, and Javonte Williams, who got hurt. We hit on 22 of our 28 backs.
Boom, boom, boom.
Unbelievable week. Again, our number one guy didn't make it. Jonathan Taylor didn't make the top 30. And still we hit on 22. So fantastic week.
Well, let's keep it rolling. Before we get started, let me just explain what you should expect in this week's video. Richard's going to give his rankings. We're going to use our stat machine to see if you agree or disagree. And hopefully this will help you set your own lineups. All right, Richard, line them up.
Number 1, we're going with Nick Chubb. Home against the Chargers. Nick Chubb has been consistent all season. And like I say, you know, if he didn't have to share carries, if he was just the bell cow, he would probably lead the league. And number 2, Derrick Henry at Washington. Derrick Henry seems to be getting better and better every week. And at some point, he's going to revert to what he's always been. And let's hope he stays out. Number 3, Saquon Barkley at Green Bay. Saquon can do it all. He can run the Wildcat. After a miserable season last year, he's looking like his old self. And number 4, Austin Eckler at Cleveland. Austin Eckler showing some signs of life in week 4. This is why we drafted him high, right? Great quarterback, great offense. Eckler, great catching balls out of the backfield. So in PPR leagues, he killed this week. We definitely expect this trend to continue. And number 5, Christian McCaffrey, home against San Francisco. McCaffrey so far has defied the odds. He's played in every game, and he's been good. Look, McCaffrey's a talent. If he can play every game, if he doesn't get dinged up, he's going to be fine. And number 6, James Robinson. Will be home against Houston. This is a good matchup. Robinson had a dud of a week in week 4. Granted, he was playing Philadelphia. Like I've said before in my other videos, Philadelphia is shutting people down right now. But I expect Robinson to rebound. And number 7, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, home against Las Vegas. This is a good matchup, as we were hoping from the beginning of the season. Please pass the ball to him. So number 8, Jamal Williams at New England. Hey, if Swift doesn't play again, Jamal Williams is going to put up nice numbers because that offense is rolling. And number 9, Leonard Fournette will be home against Atlanta. Fournette's been a little not great, but Atlanta's a good matchup. Tom Brady looks like he's starting to get it together. That offense got Godwin back now with Evans and Godwin. Fournette will get his red zone opportunities. At number 10, Dalvin Cook home against Chicago. You know, this is the type of game against a team that doesn't score points where Dalvin Cook might get a ton of touches.
Hold on. I just want to put you on the spot here. You think Dalvin Cook gets into the end zone this week?
Against Chicago, I'm going to say yes. And number 11, Aaron Jones, home against the Giants. Aaron Jones, again, would be ranked much higher if he was the bell cow, but he's sharing carries with Dylan. But Aaron Jones doesn't need that many touches, right? He can always take it to the house. And number 12, Joe Mixon at Baltimore. Mixon not looking explosive, and that's a good offense. Maybe there's some offensive line issues. But Burrow did fine. Mixon did not. At number 13, Alvin Kamara home at Seattle. Is Alvin going to play? Is he not? If he does, this is a fantastic matchup. we saw what Khalil Herbert did to the Seahawks. And number 14, the aforementioned Khalil Herbert at Minnesota. Again, this is a struggling offense. Justin Fields looks lost, but they do like to run. And Khalil Herbert looks good. Looks better than David Montgomery. And number 15, Josh Jacobs at Kansas City. Here's a guy I kept knocking. I'm putting him in my top 30, but I keep saying he's a volume back, basically meaning he's only good if he gets a bunch of touches because he is not explosive. He's not going to get big yardage. But he had a very good game. In fact, he might have been, I think he was running back one. And number 16, Miles Sanders at Arizona. Miles Sanders could be wildly inconsistent. He can have a huge week and a bad week. Again, Jalen Hurts is going to vulture some of his touchdowns. But that Philadelphia offense and the defense, that team is looking very good. At number 17, Melvin Gordon, home against Indianapolis. Yes, the Javonte Williams injury boosts Melvin Gordon's value greatly. People were talking about Boone, and now they signed Latavius Murray. Trust me, Denver's going to give the ball to Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon is legit. He fumbled, had that costly fumble in week 4, but Melvin Gordon is legit, and now he could be the bell cow back. At number 18, Jeff Wilson at Carolina. Jeff Wilson looked explosive. The 32-yard touchdown run against the Rams on Monday night. We think that trend continues. I think he gets another touchdown in week 5. And number 19, Najee Harris at Buffalo. Najee's getting the touches, but not looking explosive so far this season. And his quarterback play has definitely not helped him. But we know he's going to get the rock. Tough matchup at Buffalo, but he still should make the top 30. At number 20, Rashaad Penny at New Orleans. Rashaad Penny had a hell of a week 4. Is that trend going to continue? We don't know. When is Ken Walker going to start getting the ball? So far, Rashaad Penny's been the man, and he did well. At number 21, Dameon Pierce at Jacksonville. Dameon Pierce, number 1 back for the Texans. And not saying much, but it should be enough to grant him a position in the top 30. 22, J.K. Dobbins. Home against Cincinnati. Dobbins scored twice in week 4. That trend, again, is tricky with guys like Miles Sanders and J.K. Dobbins because he has Lamar Jackson who's going to vulture touchdowns. And they love splitting carries over there in Baltimore. You never know who's going to get the bulk of the carries. Dobbins is a talent. So Dobbins could easily shoot up our rankings. We'll see what his usage is like for the rest of the season. At number 23, Ezekiel Elliott, who will be at the LA Rams. Zeke's value is coming down, and a lot of people have seen this, but Dallas has a good offense, especially with Dak Prescott. It's a good offense, and they like giving the ball to Zeke. At number 24, Breece Hall, home against Miami. Tough defensive matchup. The Dolphins have been solid against the run, but Breece Hall, very talented guy. They're confidently using him now in New York, and he'll catch balls out of the backfield. He's going to be fine. At number 25, Damien Harris, home against Detroit. That New England offense, we knew they were going to be bad. They were going to have their issues. Now they're stuck with their third-string quarterback, potentially, but it doesn't matter. Detroit's defense is horrendous, and there will be room for Damien Harris and number 26, Ramondre Stevenson. Both backs will be in the top 30 because they will run a lot. Belichick is going to run a lot. And again, that Detroit offense, you got to keep them off the field because they will light you up. And number 27, A.J. Dillon, home against the New York Giants. A.J. Dillon's getting his share of carries. If he were a bell cow back, he would be ranked a lot higher, but obviously both he and Aaron Jones hurt each other's value. but Dylan's doing enough, and the Giants aren't that great. And number 28, Raheem Mostert at New York Jets. Miami's use of the running back has been frustrating. Is it Raheem Mostert? You know, is it Chase Edmonds? Right now, it seems like a committee, but it seems like every week there's one guy that Mike McDaniel wants to give the ball to. And 2 of the last 3 weeks, it's been Mostert, so we're going to go with Mostert. And the matchup is good. It's a good matchup. The Jets are vulnerable. And number 29, Antonio Gibson, who will be home against Tennessee. Gibson just put up a dud, but he is the number 1 back for the Commanders, and Tennessee has been vulnerable on defense. And number 30, James Conner, home against Philadelphia. That Philadelphia defense is tough, but he's the number 1 guy in the Arizona offense, bell cow back. And at some point, they might decide to go in a different direction with another back. We will see.
All right, I just want to point out a couple things. Some other rankings have Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 15. You got him at 7. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I so far I'm just thrilled with that, how they're using him in Kansas City.
All right, and one more thing I want to point out. Some rankings have Damien Harris ranked 10, and you got him at 25.
Yeah, well, because of the matchup, right? They're playing the Detroit, but my issue here with Belichick again is Belichick, you never know what you're going to get, right? And Ramondre Stevenson's also getting his share of carries. So I think there's room for both of them in the top 30, but I'm not going to rank either of them high, especially with a 3rd-string quarterback potentially starting.
All right, well, thanks for coming on here and sharing your top 30 running back rankings for Week 5. Any parting words?
Again, like I've been saying in all my videos, stick with it. This is the fantasy football grind. Watch as many videos as you can.
Those fantasy good fellas.
The ruling on the field.
Those fantasy good fellas.